I got a strong inspiration to come and have a conversation with you today, and I felt it building, almost like I was coming into orbit and feeling myself being called home over the past few weeks.
So when the idea came, it felt really good to you.
It felt really good.
So you know for sure that you were in the receiving mode of source energy when that thought came.
Yes.
Esther's asking herself every day, several times a day, when an idea comes, where did it come from? Which receiving mode was I in? Was I on a high-flying disc when I received it or a low-flying disc when I received it? So, high-flying disc, and you received a question, a topic?
I've received several questions, and then as I've continued to meditate every day, and I kind of go through a practice each day where I sit with my journal and I think of different things and practice different thoughts, seeing if I can put myself in a good feeling state. And this week I just got one answer after another, bam, bam, bam. And I was like, well, damn it, I don't have a question for Abraham.
We want to offer you a suggestion, because when you meditate and quiet your mind, now you're in the receiving mode. And when those thoughts begin to download and you start receiving, that's a wonderful thing. And then if you feel so inclined, that's when you take your journal and you let the thoughts flesh out a little bit more. The sequence of meditation and then journaling is much more powerful than journaling on your way to meditation.
So I'll typically meditate as one of the first things after I wake up in the morning. Yeah. And then I go sit at my favorite coffee shop and I'll get my journal out then and I'll kind of go through this exercise. One of the things that I have noticed is in my meditations, I've been meditating for over 10 years and I enjoy it and I feel really good and I'm continuing to feel better and better through it. And I get to this really good feeling place.
There's new emphasis because meditation has been around forever. And there are teachers teaching that more than any other topic really in this realm of spirituality and so forth. But the thing that we're wanting you to understand now, and the leading edge conversation that we all are having about meditation, is that meditation is the means to the receiving mode. That's what it is. It's the means to the receiving mode. It's the means to the expanded you. It's the means to the whole of you. It's the direct route to your vortex. It's the direct route to letting your vortex open and begin funneling into your life experience. And there are a lot of different conversations about meditation, but this is what meditation is today. This is what we're wanting you to understand about it. It's the receiving mode of what's in the vortex. And it's my joyous path to witness the unfolding of these manifestations. Let's say there's 1,000 pieces to a manifestation of something. And let's say that 999 of them are in the becoming mode. And 1 out of 1,000 is when it pops into manifestation. Don't you think you might want to be enjoying the 999 pieces of it and not just be banking on the one as it manifests into the full manifestation? We just don't want you to underestimate, and we want to over accentuate as much as your ears can possibly hear the advantage to doing anything and everything you can to get yourself in the receiving mode of who you really are, because that's the only way you are the blended being that you were born to be. That's the only way the whole of you is engaging in a conversation with someone, or the whole of you is in the process of creating something that will be beneficial globally. Yeah.
And I think that I really am deliberately focusing on being on the receiving mode more often, and that is my intention behind the meditation. And as I sit in meditation and quiet my mind, I do get to a good feeling place. I'll sometimes see light, I'll feel detached, things like that. I'm not in a place where I'm receiving clear thoughts or impulses most of the time.
Well, that's why we're talking to you about it, because we want you to begin expecting that. We want you to expect the subtlety at first of ideas that you know were not your own. We want you to show yourself how easy it is for you to get into the receiving mode. We want you to run around in your life knowing that you are an extension of source energy and that we are all in this together. Because anything less than that will be mediocre by comparison.
And that's what I want too.
Yeah. Well, it's what you've got a good deal of the time. So we have some questions for you, since you haven't come up with any questions for us yet.
Okay.
What makes you go to the coffee shop? Is it a habit, or is it a newfound impulse every day? That's an important distinction, because if you just go because you always go, or if you go because there's somebody there that you're going to meet, But that's a different reason than that you got an impulse from your inner, because your inner being, we promise you, will not send you to the same place every day. Because the things you want are in varied location.
Yeah, because I'll finish my meditation and say, well, I didn't get a strong impulse, so what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my day?
So then you're not really in the receiving mode, are you? So you're acting out of habit, which is what most people do. That means that with all the years that you've been meditating and all the different ways of approaching meditation, now there's this new way of approaching it, which is quieting your mind and allowing your inner being mind to be dominant. And if your mind is inactive and your inner being's mind is dominant, you will receive an impulse.
So how can I tweak my meditation practice to accomplish that?
You got to quiet your mind. Your mind isn't really quieting. And most people aren't quieting their mind in meditation because they're trying to visualize something or they're trying to make something happen in meditation. It's like praying and pleading. We're exaggerating because it's not a perfect comparison, but it's like a prayer where you're pleading for a result or an improvement. You're not in the receiving mode while you're pleading for something. While a prayer of appreciation, you're in the receiving mode. You see what we're getting at? Attraction is asking and allowing at the same time.
I've really been listening to your coaching on meditation and applying it to my meditation practice, but clearly I'm not quieting my mind fully. So what else do you recommend?
Maybe you're listening for something different than you think. You've undoubtedly heard the story, we've been offering it so much, about Esther receiving an impulse after coming out of meditation to play with her sound system. And then she did, which led to her discovery of rap and her discovery of playing it loud all through her courtyards. And then the next day in meditation, she just got the strongest impulse to move all of her furniture around in the house, which led to needing someone to help her do it. And when they came to help her do it, they hit it off really well. They were having a wonderful time. And one of them was a rapper. And so now Esther plays her rap music and now she's got him hooked. He said, what do you do? Because she's weird and happy and prosperous and weird. And she told him, I'm a teacher. What do you teach? Rap. Of course, she's playing with him. But those 2 days of receiving led her to the thing that matters most to her in all of her life, which is being of value to someone who's asking and ready to hear. And so her inner being and his inner being just managed the meeting. But this is the point that we're making to you. It came to Esther. The whole thing evolved in 2 days of meditation back to back, where the impulse was just almost what you would call a frivolous, silly impulse. Suddenly, Esther is ravenous to understand how her music system works. Been in that house for 10 years and never really understood it. And suddenly, she cannot go one more day without understanding it. So she sat and with clarity made her way through it. Well, we were helping her because we knew how it worked. But she had to want to know how it worked. So we were guiding her to the desire for it to work, to understand it. And because she was in the receiving mode, she picked up on our enthusiasm about it and followed it. You see what we're getting at? And then the next day, a whole 24 hours later, she's meditating again. And she comes out of meditation with this ravenous desire to move the furniture around in her house. Well, that doesn't even make any sense. That furniture was so carefully placed. Every piece was measured. Every piece was purchased. Every piece was delicately placed in relationship to every other place. There's no better way for that furniture to be in that house than how it was. But Esther suddenly wanted to move it all around. Why? Because we knew there was a mover who was a rapper, who was a student and a seeker, and that Esther is a teacher and a willing offerer, and we knew it would be really good for those two to get together. And this was the best way to get them together. He's a rapper, now Esther is too. He's a mover, Esther needs one. They bonded, they had such fun together. First, they moved the furniture all around, and then they moved most of it right back where it had been. Oh, yeah, I guess it was right to begin with. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is they had fun in the moving stuff around, and that's what you all are doing, having fun in the moving stuff around, you see. And so the point that we're making with you that we really want you to hear, that is the answer to the powerful question that you just asked us, is this receiving of information doesn't always sound like the secret scrolls. It doesn't always sound like the cure for some deadly disease. Sometimes it's just the fun of moving furniture around, because it's the path to something else, that's the path to something else, that's the path to something else, that's the path to something else, you see. And you want to be glad for all these paths, because if you just went from where you are right to where you want to be, you'd be done. That one's dead. He wanted, he received. That's done. It's not like that, is it? Because it's the feeling of life moving through you that it's all about. It's the hands in the clay. It's the you receiving the energy that creates worlds and flowing it through your consciousness, through your focus for your results. Not because you're worthy, but because you can't be other than worthy. Not because somebody is now defining you as a better person than you were a minute ago, but because you got everything lined up. You tuned into the frequency. You caught on to who you are. You fulfilled your life's purpose. You fulfilled your life's purpose. You fulfilled your life's purpose. You fulfilled your life's purpose by syncing up with who you are, because that's your life's purpose. You don't have something all figured out over here that you're on your way toward. Your life's purpose is joyful evolution. Joyful evolution. Your life's purpose is never-endedness. That's your life's purpose. Never to be done. Never-endedness. It's only humans that feel tired when we say that. Helpful?
It's helpful. And knowing that and having heard that from past seminars, perhaps I'm not fully quieting my mind because I'm not even I'm not receiving and aware that I'm receiving the impulses that are more mundane.
Let us just ask you some questions. So, when you sit, are you comfortable?
Yes.
Is it early in the day?
Yes.
And have you deliberately set this time aside so there's nothing nagging at you?
Yes.
And are you focusing on something? Just focus on that sound in the room. Can you hear it? Only that. Slight detachment. Do you feel slight detachment? Is your mind wandering?
A little bit.
Focus on it again. Does your body feel a little different? We're really asking all of you. Some of you are. You feel a little less aware. Harder for you. You're in the spotlight here, but feeling any impulse to move? You are.
Mm-hmm.
An impulse, not really a thought, not a definable thought, just an impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your eyes were closed, it would be more evident to you. It's like a willingness to think no thoughts, a willingness to carve out time to do nothing, a worthiness to not need to be productive, a worthiness to just be, a worthiness to just allow Source to wrap around you, a worthiness to just be, a willingness to not need to be active, a willingness to not need to do anything, a willingness to just sit in the ethers, a willingness to just let Source wrap around you and through you. A willingness to just wait until there's an impulse, and a willingness to let it be all right if there isn't one. A willingness to just let it be whatever it be, without any control of it, without trying to make it something, without trying to understand it. Just let it be. Let it be just this silent space where there's nothing for you to do, nothing that needs to be done, nothing that should be done, nothing that hasn't been done, nothing that should have been done better. Just a willingness to just sit there and be. Just sit there and be. You and Source Energy just being. You and Source Energy just sitting there and being. Source Energy just flowing through you to every cell in your body. Every cell in your body being refreshed and uplifted. Not thinking about it. It's just happening. It's not your work. It's not something for you to think about doing. It's something that you're just letting be. You're just letting Source Energy have its way with you. You're just letting Source Energy love you and know you and flow to you and through you and refresh you and be you. That's what meditation is. It's just letting yourself be one with Source Energy. Just melding into what is Source Energy. Not being separate from, not proving to, not being smarter than, not even asking a question of. Just sitting and being one with Source Energy. This is general conversation about just being the willing recipient of the energy that creates worlds, just letting it flow to you and through you.